Hello collectors, Formula Finds here to make a quick video to talk about some very simple, very easy, but important tips on how to store your comic books for the long haul. I'm talking about how to store them for years to decades and why that's important. The reason for this video is most collectors are fully aware that books presenting in higher grade will sell more than that identical book in a lower grade. There's reasons for that. An 8.0 is harder to keep an 8.0 for 10, 20, 30, 50 years than something in a low grade. But you wouldn't be able to capitalize on that value if you bought that book in higher grade and just stored it improperly, which eventually deteriorated the book and caused the grade to drop. You might as well have just bought the lower grade book. So one rule is, obviously an important one, is don't lay your books flat. Stand them upright. It seems like laying them flat wouldn't have much of an effect, but it's important to understand that when you're dealing with trying to protect something that's literally made of paper and something that you're protecting for years on end, little things you do does add up over the course of the long run. So simply by laying something flat, it could cause what's called a spine roll. And if you don't know what a spine roll is, well, let's take a look at this book right here. Nice, clean, presenting book. Hasn't been read a lot. Nice, clean edges, but it's got a horrible bow here. As you can see, it's kind of wrapped up and pointed up on the left-hand side of the book. The reason being is because you've got staples on one end of the book. You don't have it on the other end. So one end of the book is naturally going to be both heavier and thicker. So what happens is this book has possibly been laying flat for a long time, who knows how long, and what happened is weight on top of it has caused the end of the book that's actually thicker than the end to curl up, and what was on it? Probably another book, just like that. It's by not random luck. These books were probably sitting on top of each other for a very long time and caused them to bow. That's something that's extremely common on a book, is a spine roll. And it's something that's easily prevented if you were to stack them vertically. Now, you're probably saying, well, Formula, I don't have enough books to stack them up because a comic book box can hold 150 books, and I've only got 10 books. Well, it's really not that hard to figure it out. I mean, what you can do is if you've got open space in a box, you can find other type of books, not comic books. It could be novels, reading books, dictionaries, any type of boxes of any kind. And what you can do is you can cut a piece of cardboard out and stick it in the box wherever the comic ends and protect the other side of that cardboard with those books so the comic books that you have are still able to stand up vertical. Another reason to keep the edges protected with cardboard boxes is because these comic book boxes naturally have little handles right on the edges of these, and when they're pressed in, they press into the side of the comic. So you want to make sure to have something that's flat and blocks that. Now, another thing is you don't want to pack these comic book boxes too tightly. You want to make sure that you have enough room in between each book. The reason being is if you compact them too tightly and one side is thicker than the other side, it will cause one side to press too hard against each other, causing spine ticks, spine rolls, and a lot of other issues. One thing to understand is some people like to actually separate the books by having them one each rotated around like that, which is fine. You don't need to do that if you make sure you have enough space in between the books like this. So that is the number one thing to do. Make sure that when you stick them in, you naturally have enough space to when you let go of the books, they on their own spread to each edge of the box. You want to make sure you have enough books in there to where your books aren't angling to one side and begin to bend, but you want to make sure that they're able to expand enough to where they're not being compressed, because that compression will cause ticks on your books. Another thing you want to understand is do not store your books in the attic, in the garage, someplace warm, someplace cold, and someplace with a lot of moisture. Don't pack them next to your washer machine, your water heater, something where you're going to get a lot of condensation. Why? Because what will happen is you'll get a lot of tanning. If you're not familiar with tanning, you could look at a book kind of like this. Here's an Action Comics 371. Nice book, clean copy. It's got horrible tanning on the top, partially caused from sunlight, but the tanning is generally a sign of moisture and heat. And something so simple as not storing it in room temperature will cause a book that would otherwise maybe be a 6.5, 7.0 grade and drop it down to a 4.0 grade, simply by just where you have put it and forgot about it for years on end. So it's one of those things that where you don't want to just neglect these simple steps, once and leave them there for decades when literally all your value is riding on a few simple steps. So you want to make sure that, one, you don't compress the books too much, two, you keep them upright and you store them in a nice cool area if possible. Because or else you might as well just bought the lower grade book and saved yourself some money. Because you will lose value cumulative on all your books, and that's going to end up being expensive. So I hope this helps. If you got any comments or whatever, let me know, because I'm learning as we go too. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks. Bye, guys.